This video is going to be on if you really think you should have children in this world we're in right now. Because this world is a very rough place to raise a child, particularly if you try to raise them within the guidelines you're given. But even if you're trying to without the guidelines that they try to force you into, and naturally, it's not as much as a challenge, but you definitely have to know what you are talking about and be ready to talk to people about it a lot, because people are very brainwashed with the doctor mentality of how all of the illnesses and sicknesses have been taught to us. The whole medical field, basically. They're very programmed with how the medical field is supposed to work, and they stick to it a lot. And it's very, very wrong in every way possible of how the medical industry runs, which I've covered in my other videos with food, which is a part of the medical industry, which they make a part of the medical industry. It's really not at all. The drugs, part of the medical industry. And then in this video I'll talk about having a baby and all of the stuff that you and the baby have to go through because of how our medical industry is. And all of this is extremely horrible for a newborn child. And I extremely recommend everyone to look into home birthing and stay away from the hospital. Hospitals are a very, very bad place for anything, for any reason. The only reason you should ever go to the hospital is if you have something physically broken, your arm's broken half, and you need a cast, because you can't make one yourself. Any other reason, the hospital is used to keep you coming in a circle, to keep you coming back. But let's get into the video. I'll start from the beginning. And first of all, when you conceive a child, your child is already not natural because of you. The baby gets everything that you ingest before you have the baby, before you even create the baby, before it's conceived. The baby still is getting those things that you are putting into your body: the alcohol, the food, the medications, all the different horrible chemicals and toxins and processed foods that people put into their body that create toxins and illnesses and disease. If you're doing this stuff, I would say a few years before you have, at least a year before you conceive a baby, it is going to affect that baby in some way, shape, or form. It might not be at all, like we don't see that this stuff really affects us that much. It could be because we're all born with the effects of it, or it could be because we're somewhat immune to it to a degree, but this is really the only reason babies are ever born with any type of birth defect. Every birth defect, if you look up the cause of it, you can find that they contribute it to some type of unnatural occurring event, whether it be some type of food people are eating, or alcohol consumption, or drugs, some kind of medication people are on. It all gets contributed to something, because that's what all of this stuff comes from. We naturally are born natural without any effects. Possibly ever. I mean, definitely 99 point, however far you want to go with that number, 99999, until you want to put an 8 at the end. But I believe that if we treated our bodies correctly, that we would have babies with absolutely no defects at all. Not one whatsoever. And I've never looked a lot into nature about this, but I've never really heard about just animals in the wild having animals with birth defects. It's possible they do, but nothing that I've really ever come across of. Definitely know what happens in zoos and stuff, because those are articles that they post, but never heard about the wild. But with the baby, everything you consume, we'll say a year before you conceive it, then especially after you conceive it, and particularly those last 6 months, they get all of the nutrients that your body is ingesting. You are sharing your body with the baby. So the baby that is unborn gets everything that you eat. So it passes along to them. And this already is taking the natural infancy out of the baby, because it is changing how it would naturally work. It's changing the body, the biological structure at the DNA level of how this creature is going to grow up and how it is going to work. And most people don't realize that food even has that type of impact on us, even at that early of a stage. That's where a lot of, like I said, these diseases and stuff come from. It's really mostly from the food that people eat. They contribute a lot of these diseases and illnesses, birth defects too. SIDS, they contribute a lot to that. They contributed that a lot to the fire retardants that they put on all of the baby mattresses, all of the a lot of the baby bedding. All furniture also has to have fire retardants in it. They put it in. I don't think they do this anymore. They used to put it in baby pajamas. Why, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they passed a law to where they can't do that anymore. They load up on the chemicals and the plastics. They push a lot of chemicals onto your baby, just as he's a newborn as well, which is all, again, to take them out of their natural environment and to start programming their mind, to start controlling them, to get them into a controlled environment that they can control. And I'll talk about that more towards the end of the video. The other thing that a lot of people don't, or that they actually tell you that it's okay to have, is 1 glass of wine a day is okay. But alcohol is alcohol. It doesn't matter where it comes from. Alcohol is alcohol. It is a distilled substance. It is not a whole substance, so it is not good for our body. It has to be processed to create. So for our body, alcohol is not good. That's why it disbalances us in the way that it does. I really don't feel anything positive comes from alcohol. You can say the opposite, and you could use it for some positive things, but anything that you can do with alcohol, you can do 100 million times better without, if you change your focus. But they push this. They tell you it's okay to have one every once a day or once a week. I'm pretty sure they say once a day, which is absolutely horrible. You are altering your baby. Every glass of wine you take, every drink of alcohol that you take, you are changing your baby's DNA makeup. You're changing how they are going to be when they come out. That's what the effects of everything that you are ingesting has, though. Alcohol is a drug, though, so it affects your baby even more because it passes directly through your liver, and it doesn't really filter it out the negatives as much, and it very much contaminates your baby because of it. Which caffeine does the same exact thing, and they tell you not to drink caffeine when you are pregnant. Not widely pushed out there, but they do tell you not to drink caffeine while you're pregnant. Yet people will still drink caffeine. They will still eat chocolate. They will still have decaffeinated coffee, which all of this has caffeine, and it all adds up. And caffeine is a drug. It is considered a drug. Caffeine is not good for your body. even when you have it in a whole source, I have found that it is not something I want because it makes me jittery and it makes me anxious and not anything that I ever want to have on really ever for me, but definitely not a consistent basis. I used to drink green tea every day. I cannot have green tea anymore because of the caffeine that is in it and how it makes me feel. I really don't drink tea at all anymore, but I went from drinking green tea every day to literally be able to feel the caffeine that is in it because I don't ingest any anymore. And most people just don't realize what caffeine is doing to them because they are constantly ingesting it. And when you're constantly doing something, you don't realize the negative of it, no matter what it is. Just like people watch sports. The sports videos I've made have garnered a lot of criticism from sports fans. But while you're watching something that is fake or not good, you're doing something that's not good, you are going to be blinded to the opposite unless you stop doing it. That's why it's best to stop doing pretty much everything that is bringing you in the same circles and walk into nature, take a few weeks off, take a month off, take as long as that takes. There's no time that you can put on your own well-being and health. Take forever off. Don't come back. You might not want to after you're out there for a week or two. I know I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't have a family with me and everything. I would probably be homeless in some capacity. Because homeless isn't really being homeless. It just means you don't have a place to go to at night. But we all have a place to go to. We just have to find it. Let's see. Let's get back on track though. Besides all of the food and the alcohol, coffee, all this other stuff that we're ingesting while they're in our stomach, we're taking prenatal vitamins, which many of us don't even know that we don't get the nutrients that are in these vitamins that we take because of how these vitamins are produced. These vitamins are grown I don't want to say chemically, they could be, but biologically. They're grown in a lab and with the purpose of being used as a vitamin for us or a mineral. Our body doesn't know how to break that down. Our body works with whole foods. Our body wants the whole fruit. It wants a whole fruit or vegetable with the nutrient. It doesn't want just the nutrient or vitamin or a mineral. Even if what they're doing now, they're having whole fruit vitamins, multivitamins. They take part of the vitamin or the mineral from the food now, which your body still does not break down that good. That's why after you take a vitamin, your piss is straight yellow because you are literally pissing out the vitamins that you are taking. Your pee should not be yellow, ever. And if you're eating fruit, and a lot of it, your pee will not be yellow. I drink a very, very small portion of water. Usually don't drink water throughout the day. Maybe once a week I'll drink a glass of water throughout the day. And my pee is always clear because of I am ingesting all the vitamins in a way my body can break them down. And I'm not just pissing out all of the nutrients that's in my food. I'm pissing out the water context that's included with my food, which is how it's supposed to work. They push these prenatal vitamins, and they are horrible for you. Particularly the ones that they tell you to get because they are made straight up of chemical products. The way that they create them is horrible for you. They put extra chemicals in them that are just horrible for you. Read the ingredients that are in your prenatal vitamins, or in your vitamins in general. There's definitely bad stuff that's in there for you. That it's not good for you. And it's not good for your baby either. Not everything, like I said, that you take gets passed on to your baby. They tell you, oh, we need more nutrients. They only tell you that you need more nutrients because most people are already on a highly nutrient deficient diet. Most people are just nutrient deficient just about everything because their bodies cannot grab the nutrients out of the food that they're eating, and the food has such low nutrient density in general because of how processed it is and what people eat. if you ate correctly, if you eat fruit or vegetables, you ate the correct way, you don't need a vitamin because your body has all the nutrients. You're going to have all the nutrients to pass down to your baby because you're just going to increase how much you're eating. And you're getting more nutrients with what you're eating because of what you are eating. It all has nutrients. When it all has nutrients, it's all good for you. Besides what you do to the baby while it's in your stomach, when you actually go to give birth, it's a horrific experience in itself for the unborn child that is about to be born. Childbirth is supposed to be peaceful, it's supposed to be calm, it's supposed to be relaxing for the mother and the child. It's not supposed to be screaming. There's not supposed to be pushing. There's not supposed to be pulling. There's not supposed to be these issues. Watch how an animal gives birth. It is very effortless. They just go and do it, and then they take care of their baby the way that they are naturally supposed to. Watch how an ape has a baby. That is very similar to how we should be having children. They carry around the placenta until it falls off, which is exactly what we should be doing. We don't do that. When a child is born, they are born into a room with extremely bright lights that they bring, well, from what they show in movies. I don't know what they really do. I'm sure that they do. They have extra lights in there just to have all these lights shining down so they can make sure to see everything. To make sure that baby gets an immense exposure of light when it's first born. They're in a dark room when they're in your belly. It's very, very dark. They can't really see anything. They're looking through their mind for the most part, which is how we're all blinded to see here. We're blinded with our eyes. Babies aren't blinded with their eyes yet. But the second they're born, they start getting taught how to see with their eyes because they're forced to open them with all of the brightness put into them, all of the light that they are forced to absorb, which they shouldn't be in the presence of any light. It should be mostly a pitch dark room that you're in when you give childbirth so that it is an easy, peaceful, relaxing transition for the baby, just as the whole entire childbirth should be. It only makes sense, right? You wouldn't blast lights at someone who is about to wake up. To wake them up, they're going to wake up in a bad mood, most likely. They're going to be grumpy. They're going to groan. If they don't know what else to do, they might cry, like what a baby does. Babies don't know many things about their body when they come out, and so one of the reactions they do know is to cry when something is not right. And that's exactly what they start doing. Same type of thing would happen if you shine bright lights into someone that's sleeping. They're going to have some type of reaction because they don't like what you're doing. They're trying to sleep with their eyes closed in a dark place. So you want to bring them to somewhere semi-dark, not quite as dark, but a little bit lighter, to start adjusting them, just as you want to do with a baby. The other thing that they do when they are first born is they cut the umbilical cord, which they make the father do this. If the father is even there, they make the father cut the umbilical cord, because cutting the umbilical cord is literally severing the baby from its energy. The baby has not finished getting all of its nutrients and energy out of the placenta. It's still getting all of that blood out of there, still circulating out of there. So when you cut it, you are harming the baby. You're doing physical harm to the baby. That's why they cry after the umbilical cord is cut, because you're cutting a vein basically leading to the baby that's flowing blood back and forth. It bleeds when you cut it because it is not supposed to be cut. It is meant to dry and fall off, which is how animals do it. Animals don't cut it off. They let it fall off naturally so that the baby the child can get all of the nutrients from the placenta, which is where the mother stores all of the extra nutrients for the baby in the placenta, and it needs to make sure that it's able to get them. So it needs to stay on. When it doesn't stay on, it can't get them. So your baby is not fully grown once you cut off the placenta. It wasn't able to get all of its stem cells and everything out of there, because they actually offer a service at the hospitals where they'll actually freeze a placenta for you. So if I don't know if they actually freeze the placenta or they take the blood out of it necessarily, but because the blood has stem cells in it, which stem cells is a blank cell that they use to recreate other cells. These people that control us love stem cells. Why? Because they're probably using them to repair all of their illnesses. Because it's a blank cell that turns into whatever cell you put it next to. They tell us this. They told us this a lot. But it's illegal to do. So, of course they don't do it, which is bullshit. Of course they're using this in every way, shape, and form that they can. And that's why they want people to donate these things, because they're saying, oh yeah, we have all of this for you. But it's not for us. It's not a supply for us for it to be ready. It's for these people that are above us to use as they want, and for them to show us pictures of this huge room full of all these things that we think they're storing for us. None of that stuff's really getting stored. There's a small amount of it that's being saved. It's all being used by these people that are above us. The elites, as people like to call them. Let's see here. So, besides the umbilical cord being cut, just cut by the father, creates bad energy between the father and the baby, because it's the father that's not allowing the baby to get the rest of its energy, just as well as not allowing the baby to grow all the way. And these people that orchestrated all this, they know all this. They orchestrate all of this for this specific way to control us. When you start to look at how the world has been set around us, because this world was set around us for mostly everything that's around us right now, you can see how it was set around us with purpose to hold us where we are, and not with purpose to help push us forward and to help move us forward in a positive direction. It's meant to be a hump on our back, something that we just can't get out from underneath, that we just keep coming in the cycle then and doing the same exact things, because we can't move forward. We're stuck doing the same exact things, which birth giving is the exact same thing. That's what they give birth this reason, so that baby comes into this world already pre-programmed, ready to go with the rest of the program. They have this program set out from before we're born till way after we die. They have us going through it just like they show in movies when they brainwash people with like a scanner or something, and they get brainwashed that quick. That's how this happens. It just doesn't happen in a blink of an eye. It's in the blink of an eye to them, though, probably, because it's only 80 years. That ain't that long for someone to live. When we can live at least 300. I think we can live for forever, though. But when you're only looking at 80-year intervals, it's like a second for these people that are in control, watching these people die as they are making their systems that keep us trapped even better. And as we sit here and watch them make it better, thinking that it's technology for us, when none of it is for us. It's all for them. Okay, back on subject. After they cut the umbilical cord, the baby is usually taken right away, when the baby should not ever be taken from the mother, particularly in the first few weeks of being born. The baby needs to know exactly where the mother is. It needs to have skin-to-skin contact with the mother. It needs to feel its mother. Same with its father, though. It needs to have skin-to-skin contact. The bonding goes with both. It needs to happen just as much with both. the mother and the father. But in a hospital, unless you request otherwise, which most people don't even know that you can request not to do some of these things, but the hospital still goes ahead and does a lot of it regardless. They take the baby from the mother before there's any contact, before it's held at all, because they have to clean the baby. Because there's this white powdery substance that's all over the baby's skin that's actually for its immune system. It helps protect the baby. And they go and wash this off of it. They clean all of it off. And they don't just clean it off, though. They wash it off with chemicals. They use Johnson & Johnson or whatever name brand chemical soap they have in the back there that's full of chemicals. That is what actually makes your baby's skin break out. Your baby's skin is breaking out because of the lotion and the chemicals you're putting on it, not because of anything else. Well, it could be because of food, but it's because of one of those two things. My daughter's skin used to always break out when she was little, and we discovered that after a while, we figured out that it was the lotion we were putting on her that was making her break out all the time. Which, they call it chicken skin or something. It's normal, which, yeah, it is normal, because it's normal from the chemical that they're exposing the children to. What else? I was going to say, also all the mothers in the hospital getting ready for labor, they offer you an epidural, which is a pain reliever, which is absolutely horrible. It's not good, it's not natural. It actually relaxes you, so it makes it harder to give birth. So that's why you have to push. That's why you have to feel like you have to actually try to have a baby, is because you have the epidural, and it relaxes your body and actually takes longer for your body to dilate, which they know this. They know that it relaxes your body, and that your body doesn't dilate a lot of times after you have the epidural. So then you have to be induced, or you have a C-section. Pick one. C-section's way worse in so many ways, which I really won't talk about too much in this video. But my first daughter was a C-section because we knew we didn't know any better at all. We were completely as programmed as most people are in this society, and there's no complications from it. And we were able to learn a lot and work from it, and work away from it, getting everything away from it, but definitely not something that is good for a child when brought into this world. But back on subject, it's either you have the C-section or you get the injection, which induces the baby, which is another chemical. They're just trying to give you as many chemicals as they can before you have the baby, so that the baby gets all of this. So first they're giving you epidural, which the baby gets that painkiller. Then they're going to induce you, which the baby gets that chemical. Then you have to push and put strain on the baby because of the epidural relaxing you. So this is more adding on to the stress and torment that the baby is going through. So they take the baby to the back room. They wash it. They wash their white coat off that protects them from the bacteria and toxins and stuff that's in the air. So they're completely exposed now, externally. They then finally will bring them back to the mother, wrapped in a blanket with a hat on of some sort. They usually don't put it right on the mother. They don't allow skin-to-skin contact. They try to push pacifiers right away, which pacifiers are made of plastic, and they're also absolutely horrible in general because they're not needed at all and they're completely unnatural. It confuses a baby. That's all that it does. They don't want a pacifier. When they cry, they want a boob. They don't want a pacifier. They're crying a lot. It's because your milk is insufficient for them. It's not because they're hungry too much. It's because they're telling you that this milk does not have the nutrients that I need to grow correctly. Give me more nutrients and I won't cry as much. But most people reach for the pacifier and end up confusing the baby. Because the baby doesn't know what a pacifier is. It doesn't want it. That's why it spits it out at first. It wants the milk out of the boob, which it does have eventually when it's at the hospital. It takes a while, but eventually the mother is allowed to breastfeed. But they also, at the hospital, they recommend not just breastfeeding, make sure that you supplement with formula, because formula has stuff that your breast milk does not have, which is completely false. Formula is made up of a bunch of chemicals and is basically a concoction that kills your baby. It has nothing good in it. Go look up the ingredients that are in Infamil and Similac. It is horrible. I put the brand on my Gematria chart, in my glossary, and it equals a lot of words that you would expect it to, because it is a very bad product, just like most products are that are sold to us or given to us. So besides the baby not usually getting to eat for longer than it really wants to, they also try to push the formula on you, which is absolutely horrible for the baby. Which then, when you're doing formula, you have to use a plastic bottle, which is more chemicals going into the baby. Obviously, some of this is the plastic. You can't get out all of the plastic because of the world that we live in, but limiting the plastic is definitely good, because plastic leaches the chemicals out. Plastic is not healthy for us. A lot of metals aren't healthy for us either. A lot of metals leach the chemicals that are in it out, and is toxic to our bodies, which is what it comes down to. It really doesn't matter about the substance. It's how it reacts to our body, and these substances are toxic to us, so we want to try to limit our contact with them, particularly for newborns. After all that, the baby's, it's screaming its head off already. It's red in the face. It doesn't know what's going on. It is screaming. You feel bad for the baby at this point, no matter who you are in the room. And the doctor knows what they're doing. The doctors are part of the game. They have to know the horrible things that they're doing. They might not know the reasons why necessarily, but you have to know that it's not healthy at a point, especially when they 100% ignore diet and what food you eat when it comes to health. They have to know what they're doing is not healthy, and that they're actually killing us by doing what they're doing in the medical field. And they don't care, because they're getting paid a substantial paycheck because of it, which is how most people are that are in those high places. They get paid a lot, so they lie to us. They lie to us to keep us trapped where we are, and to keep these babies coming out in the way that they are. In comparison, a baby is supposed to be born in a quiet, peaceful environment. You can either have a water birth, which I'm going completely ideal right here, which would be in nature, having it in a completely natural spring somewhere, or even just having it in nature in general is very good to do, because your baby is natural. It knows nature. You having it in nature is only going to bring it into this world in a more relaxing state and more comfortable for it. Besides that, though, you should hold your child a lot. You and the mother and the father should hold the child a lot when it's first born. And the baby should sleep a lot when it's first born, for the most part, though. There should be a couple to a few week transition where the baby sleeps a lot, and where the mother and the baby spend a lot of time bonding and not really moving too much. after the initial birthing. And not because the mother can't, because she's definitely physically able to, but because there's a physical connection that needs to be built between her and the baby, which takes a lot of energy to do, which time is just energy. That's all that she's doing, is putting her energy towards building that bond, which we don't do with our children at all. That's why we feel so disconnected from them all the time. Why a lot of our children don't feel comfortable to talk to us about many things. It didn't start when that problem came up. It started when they were first born, when we brought them into this world, not really knowing what we were doing by bringing them into this world. Which is true in my case. It's my daughter. I see every day effects of stuff that from the past that are just coming up now, but just because the program runs deep. It's not where you can just change it and it's done. It runs very deep. It runs deep within me still. I'm still using a computer here. I'd still work. It's hard to get out of the program completely, but it just takes working out of it and starting to realize what's going on around us and changing what we can on the surface, and eventually those deep-rooted programs will just start to fall out. They'll start to not function correctly anymore because of our higher consciousness, and we'll start to realize we'll just literally make them obsolete because we will realize that we could have done that all along, which we can do all of these things ourselves that we are doing right now in this world without the help of any of this technology, particularly when it comes to raising and having a child. This technology is not helping us in any way, shape, or form. Other things that I forgot to talk about. During the childbirth, during while your baby is growing in your uterus, they want you to go and get ultrasounds, which ultrasounds serve literally no medical purpose at all. They tell you that they want to make sure the baby is growing correctly, except the ultrasound is way off when they tell you how much your baby is going to weigh when it's born. It's always way off. But this is the reasoning they use to why they give them to you throughout it. That makes no sense. That they would use this to make sure the baby is growing correctly, yet the final measurement that it gives you is never correct. That means that the rest of them are never correct. They're not using it to measure the baby. They're using it so they can give your baby this dose of what do they use for ultrasound? Ultrasound radiation. They're giving you ultrasound radiation directly to your baby because they want to harm it. That's the only reason. They want to harm it, they want to harm you. That's what these people want to do. They don't want to kill us, they want to harm us enough to keep us trapped. They want to keep us in the cage that they have put around us. And before ultrasounds, they used to do the same thing with Doppler radar. They used to use that on the baby, which that's the same. It's another form of radiation that is not good. Radar just stands for radiation. It is a type of radiation that's used for whatever purpose in the world. The real purpose is to limit our energy and our connection to our mind, though. It limits our ability to connect outwards. I just made another video about how technology limits us, particularly wireless technology, which is what radiation is. It's all what wireless technology is different types of radiation. They just like to call it different things so that we think it's all different types of technology. When it's really only one thing. It's all energy. Then they break it up in all these different categories. And to try to confuse us and keep us in these circles and keep us from figuring out that it's all really interconnected. And that goes to about pretty much everything. When you're looking in this world, is it's broken into categories, into more categories, into more categories and labels and genres and whatever else not to confuse us, to make us divided so they can conquer us, so we keep fighting with each other, and so that we can't really decipher what's going on around us and start putting the pieces to the puzzle together, because it all connects. Things that have no relation to each other connects because it's energy. When you realize that it's all energy, it's easy to understand that it all connects. An alternative that you can use to the ultrasound and Doppler radar is a Pheoscope, which that is like the stethoscope, but it's a little bit different shape and use. It actually has a part that goes on your head to help stabilize, and it's supposed to amplify the signal. But you can use it to hear the baby's heartbeats. So you can make sure you're having a healthy baby, very much so, without using any type of electronic technology. A Pheoscope, like I said, is like a stethoscope, so there's no electricity that goes through it whatsoever. It just hones in on the sound waves that are in there and brings them to your ears. And you can use this to hear if you're having more than one baby, how healthy the heartbeats are, all of this stuff. Which is all that we're using for our next children. Oh, what else do I want to say? Sorry, getting a message here. So with what else you should expect if you have a home or natural birth? The baby should come out pretty easily. You shouldn't have to really push. It should, for the most part, come right out. You shouldn't be in labor for a long time. Labor doesn't last that long. Maybe a half hour from the research I've done. A lot of cases, it doesn't even last that long. It's pretty quick to happen. You shouldn't be in it for hours, that's for sure. Definitely not natural. You should have a lot of bonding afterwards. You should keep it simple, keep the lights dim. The baby only wants one thing when they're first born. They want milk. That's about it. They want milk from the breast. That's all they know. And when they want something else, they'll tell you. But that won't be for months and months afterwards, because that milk has everything that they need for at least, I think, 8 months. Maybe it's even longer before they even really need, or you can start introducing solid foods. It's really, I don't even believe in necessity then. It's more that you can begin to introduce them if the baby's interested in eating solid foods. But I won't go into that with this video. I've looked into all of it, how on raising children naturally. I looked into it a lot, me and my wife, because we like to live our life as naturally as possible, which is really how I got into the Gematria and the world and how it works, and wanting to figure out the truth about the world and what's going on in it, is by looking at nature and natural things, and it all goes right along with each other. So much of what I learned about being natural for your body and health-wise ties right into what I learn and see when it comes to the truth articles or truth stuff that you see on the internet. Whether it's true or not, a lot of it still relates, because you see the dishonesty that they put out there, just trying to confuse us. There's so much dishonesty in articles and news and media that is put out there, because they know as soon as someone makes a video like I'm doing right now, first thing people are going to do is go search on the internet, and they're going to use Google or one of these other major search engines, and all of these are programmed to bring up these certain websites. And these certain websites are going to have the articles on them that are dismissing what I am saying. It's going to be ABC. It's going to be the TMZs. It's going to be CNN. Every type of website, mainstream media website that you can think of. Even ones that you would think are not mainstream, they're really still mainstream websites, which will have disinformation saying, don't do this, it's not good for you. That it's really harmful. I see articles in the New York Times all the time about how natural childbirthing is not good, and it's for different scenarios, and they give you different reasons, which is all laughable. The same thing with food-related stuff and eating raw and eating only fruit. They talk about that a lot, how it's very bad for you, not healthy for you. But when you read the reasoning, it's all bullshit. But they know that most people, they don't even get to reading that damn article. And most people don't even have the comprehension to put these two things together. That's what they really bank on, is that our reading comprehension and that our attention span is so short from all these chemicals and all the technology, all the flashes and sounds and all the how everyone moves at this rapid pace. It keeps our brain moving fast, and when our brain's moving at this rapid pace constantly, we can't start to put these things together. And that's what they know. They know this. They bank on knowing that we're going to approach stuff with this mindset, which once you start looking at stuff knowing that they want us to approach stuff with this mindset, you can easily see through the dishonesty that is put out, because you can easily see how if you're putting this out to really suppress someone, this information is way better for that than actually help someone because of how the information is put out, which is really all you really ever have to look for when you're trying to figure out if something's true or not. Does it work better how it's said as a positive influence, or does it work better how it's said as a negative influence? Almost everything you'll come across in this world right now works better in as a negative influence than positive, which that's because it's really working in a negative influence against us. But I'll cut this video off now. It's already at over 45 minutes. Do you have any questions, comments, any specifics? I know I missed a lot of details in the process. Anything that you want to know, let me know in the comments. If I think of anything, I'll add it in the comments. I'll add on to the end of the video. That's it though. Have a good night, guys.